So here you say you need count, then you can directly drag customer name, right?
Customer. Sorry, in that columns filter we have buckets is there, 10, 20,
What is that 1020?
buckets share percentage.
Which percentage?
Share.
What is share?
That sales share.
I'm
I'll
not.
share.
You have to be clear on that.
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
So, just a second. Yeah, we can start presenting.
Yeah. This, are you seeing my screen?
Yeah.
This range is there in the range buckets.
What is that range?
Have sales person.
Open the calculation 3. What is calculation 2?
Yeah, I know.
Sales by calculation.
This one.
Fixed year of order date, month of order date, customer name, column, sum of sales. Okay.
You need this customer count, but here grand total is correct only, but this what is this one total not coming correct. See 6, 3, 12, 15 like that is.
Yeah, because you should have done it at aggregate level, right? Now open that calculation 2 once.
Okay.
You are doing it individual sale level, right? At a row level you are doing. But here it is at the aggregated level, right?
Okay. How will do this?
And in that you are using, you are not, can you lower the calculation a bit?
Calculation.
Can you lower that? Lower, take it below. What is this? You are taking their count distinct of customer. Hey, here you are bucketing into different sale values, and then you are taking count distinct of customers, but your bucketing is not correct. The reason being, open your calculation. See here, you are doing sales by calculation one, right? That is a row level calculation. You are not doing an aggregated calculation. It should have been sum of sales by sum of calculation.
Okay. But we fixed that customer, that's why.
But again, you are using a row level calculation. Now what happens when this bucketing is happening? Every record's sale value will be taken into consideration, not at region, state, and city level. Right?
Okay.
You got the point, right?
Okay. How will do this?
Do it sum of sales by sum of calculation.
But here aggregation is not right.
Pardon?
Aggregation is not right.
It will not take. That should not be the case at all. That calculation one also put it in aggregation.
Already is there.
No, it's not there. It is not there. Calculation one is not in aggregation. You just wrote an LOD there.
Yes.
Aggregation within LOD will not count. That is not an aggregation. That aggregation is mandatory within an LOD.
Okay.
So you have to in calculation 2 put sum of sales by sum of calculation 1. Calculation 1 also in sum. Close the brace. There's an extra brace, huh? Okay. Now click on it. Now replace that. Again, put calculation 3 back again.
Now different.
Okay?
All coming in one place.
Not one place. That is in that level. Your
Okay.
customer is between that. You have to rewrite your calculation. Your
Okay.
majority of your customers are going into 70 to 90 bracket. So you have to rewrite your calculation to get it right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, any other doubts?
So, hi,
Right.
Akshay. So, as you mentioned in his query, like he have been using sales by calculation fee. So, does that really make a difference when you are not using sum
I
like
didn't,
that?
can you come again? Can you come again?
I was just saying that sometimes we need to rename the what we call. We need to rename the field or the matrix name, right? And what we do is like we create a calculated field and we drag and drop the sales of the profit. In that case, we don't use sum. So can you please elaborate like when to go for sum or when to go only
It
the
is about
field name?
how you look at the calculations. Like, let me share my screen. Now see here, when you are bringing dimension from here, right, then you can directly bring sale and aggregation can happen at this level.
Yes.
But okay, someone is saying, okay, Dheeraj, I'll try to increase the size of the calculation. And we have cycle and it's a daily session. Okay. Now here when you are bringing what is happening, every record from here is coming and it is aggregating here and it is showing you the value. But
Yes.
when you are taking any percentages, when you are dividing two measures, right? Now when you are dividing two measures, like just like sales by profit. Okay? I'm bringing this in here and I'm writing sum of sales divided by sum of profit. I'm also bringing this in. You see the difference in values?
Yes.
The calculation, whatever you are using, are only two measures, which is sales by profit and sum of sales by sum of profit. Now here, the way it is operated is different. Now when you are saying sum of sales by sum of profit, when you are saying when you are saying sales by profit, you can see the value in calculation. 10 is in here and where is calculation here? Okay, here they are showing the same value. But see, how can I show you to you properly? Okay, now what happens is when you do sales by profit, right? Every row level sales value is divided by its profit and then aggregate. Now you do aggregation in two ways, right? You have certain values, right? Or you have certain decimals, like fractions, like 2 by 3, right? And 3 by 5 or something like this. When you add all the numerators and do your denominator, and when you do all individual of them, when you do individual of them and then add them, the values will be different. The way you are performing it is different, especially when there are negative values. Because when you divide it at the row level, the magnitude of that negative value is decreased. Hence, the overall value is here it is more compared to this one. When we are doing sum of sales, what is happening first? Aggregation is happening, which is then divided by another aggregation of sales. So all sales are aggregated in here and all profit is aggregated here. And then the division is done. Other case in here it is entirely different to that. So that is the reason you are not getting proper out. So you have to know that whenever you are dividing by something, then it is mandatory that you need to understand the granular. I'm not saying every time you need to use some, but you need to understand that granularity before you apply that calculation. Okay?
Generally the formula or the calculation will be sometimes given by the business also. Okay, so that will be pretty easy, but sometimes we need to determine. So I was just curious, like on this case.
I didn't get what you're asking.
I was saying that sometimes the business itself give the calculation. Okay, you need to perform this with the calculations.
Yeah.
And sometimes business won't give, and you need to decide some basic things. So generally, I was assuming like sales by profit. I didn't do any trial and error, but my assumption was like it will give the same result.
No, that is what you have to
Whatever you
understand
say
that, right? You have to understand. See, now when you are into a BI in a tool like these, you need to understand the first thing that actually the first thing that you need to understand when you are in your BI is you need to understand the granularity. At what level are you doing your calculations? If you understand that, then it will be pretty easy for you to understand how and when to take this.
got it.
Because when you are looking at a value, at which level you want to achieve, the granular level or at an aggregated level, you have to make that decision first. And it is easy, right? You can cross check, right? When you are getting the value, you can do the same calculation in Excel or somewhere else and check if the value you are getting here is proper or not. And if it is not proper, that is where the investigation should begin,
Got it.
right? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rajesh, I just want to share my screen.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rajesh. Yeah, Rajesh, you are getting my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. If I select 2019, so and parameter is so like 31st December 2019, means that latest date of that year.
Obviously, you will not get any value. See,
I know. Yeah, tell me.
here you are asking for the date of 2019 and in parameter your date is 2018. You will not get current.
No. What I am asking, like, if I select 2019, then that parameter value also should show that 31st December 2019.
No, that dynamism is not possible.
No.
No, it's not possible. Sometimes, if it is a sheet, then what do you say? Via a parameter action, we can do it, but it should be a sheet in which you have these date values. But when you select in filter, you cannot change the parameter values. Okay. Yeah. Any other doubts, guys?
There is one doubt. When I was doing it, it's a pretty simple doubt, but maybe what I was trying to do is like there is a dashboard, existing dashboard, where they wanted, where we have the table view of the Tableau, and they wanted to add the grand total of the total. So when it's just simple, like you have to go to the analysis menu and then select the grand total from the column, and it will be showing up. So in my case, what is happening is like when I add the grand total of the total, I found that at the end it is showing multiple times.
Oh, you mean to say you got your category and you got your sales, right?
Yes.
Now you are going into total and you are trying to do your grand total. Right.
So
These.
back to
But here it
yeah.
is showing multiple values, just like this. Not this, just a moment. Hmm, how can I'm not able to get the situation properly, but if some of this is in, let me keep city in here and let me bring,
I just sent the Tableau Rayapati group as well the screenshot.
you have just a moment. Yeah, this is because if you can show the total screenshot, you have put some field in your detail tab,
Okay, check that.
right?
Yeah, this there.
You have put something in your detail tab.
Yeah,
That granularity is different from the view level. That is a one step lower granularity than your view level, which is causing you this problem.
Oh, so I have to remove some details.
Remove that field which you put in detail.
But if I remove,
Then you should get the grand total problem.
yeah, then I'm getting it
Yeah,
correctly.
because when you add a field which is more granular than whatever is in your view level, right? More granular than your view level, then it will definitely, what do you say, add in the grand total. What it is saying is, I cannot add the totals because along with the whatever level that you are having in here, there is one more field that is present in your what do you say, detail tab, which is adding more granularities. Hence I am showing you multiple values in the grand total. That is what it says.
Okay, so just for the example is like I'm using the customer ID and customer ID is in the table and also the customer ID is been defined in the detail level. That is one of the
No, the
field which I
same
can.
dimension should not give you problem. If your customer ID is here, and at the same time, if your customer ID is here, now
Yes.
your grand total should not be a problem.
Okay.
I'm not
Of course,
actually able to show you that accurately without actually disturbing this. Where am I missing? Is where I'm not sure.
So how can I know like whatever the other developer who have been developing that so use that matrix in the detail? How can I know whether there is any usefulness of that matrix or can I
If you
remove that?
keep that field, it is not possible. Otherwise, if you want to keep that field, again, this is not right, but you can convert that into attribute.
Which one, the detail one?
The dimension that is present in the detail, you can convert that into attribute.
So that has already been the customer has been using the attribute.
Can you
And
please do one thing? Can you replicate that in your Tableau, and can you discuss this on Monday, because we are not able to get onto the common grounds.
Okay, no, thanks.
Okay,
No, I'll keep
we'll discuss this on Monday. If you bring with build an exact view in Tableau. I too will try. If I get my any chance, I too will try from my end. If we get that, we can show it, and then we can discuss on that.
Sure, thank you. No.
Okay. Any more doubts, guys?
So, in that, adding to that only, just is there a way I can know like where the detail has been used and for what reason they have used the detail? It's a table view, right? So I'm just curious.
I'm still not getting what you're asking.
I mean, like whenever some matrix has been added in the tail level, so there is a way because that's what I haven't developed. Someone else has developed. So how can I check like whether it is just randomly they have used it or there's any meaningful of that? I know like Jekyll is being used to add in the tooltip and something like that whenever required. Correct?
And still, I don't know, there is some issue, disturbance from my side or your side. I'm not able to understand. Let me put my
I'm
headset.
sorry.
Let me put my headset. Let me check. Yeah, please go ahead. See, in general, why do people keep that in detail? Majority of the time is for actions to perform. It will be majority of the time for an action to perform. So check, because that is the only reason someone put some dimension into detail. Or the second thing is actions only. The actions only, filter action or set action, they will require this. So now you have to check whether that is the case. If that is the case, how how to try to convert that into attribute and try to check that if your filter action is working or not. Yeah, the detail, either try to convert that into attribute and convert that into, so both are visible in the same view or both are in different dashboards. Then rather than using filter action, you can use parameter action if only single selection is required. And if you use parameter action, I don't think you need to use that dimension in the view. Okay, in the detail table, you need not use that. So try to change the action, or now don't show the grand totals. Okay, yeah, it's not that pretty forward because the granularity when you bring another dimension into the view, the granularity is changing, which is affecting your output. Okay, okay, guys, any doubts? Last 5 minutes, guys. API. See, first. So you mean to fine tune in the sense if you want to increase the performance, right? Okay. So my first approach for the same will be first try and try get only the data that is required, right? Use proper filters and get the data only that is required into your dashboard. Use data source filter, dashboard in the sense workbook. Use proper data source filter and get only those data that is required. First thing. Second thing is, in the dashboard, it is not about sheets or anything. It is about number of marks that Tableau has to do. Now, surprisingly, marks in a bar chart, marks in a text table, it takes almost the same time to render. So, if you are using any text table with more number of marks, because in text table, what we tend to use, we tend to use 6 to 7 dimension and 3 to 4 measures, which will give you some 200, 300 marks, and more than that sometimes. There are sometimes it is in thousands, which is actually taking more time. Even if you see the performance recording, then even in there, what you will see is majority of the time goes for building the thing. So try to reduce as many marks as possible. And second thing here is, in your filters, are they regular filters or you use only relevant values in the filter? Yeah. Yes. So how many filters do you have in your dashboard? Yeah. So here now the problem is, when the dashboard is loading, it not only has to load the views, but also has to load your filter options as only relevant values. Otherwise, now if only relevant values is not there, then Tableau will directly load all the values into the filter. But the moment you selected only relevant values, it has to also check whether it is showing only the relevant values or not. So that is also one more time taking. And if like the next thing will be your calculations. LODs is always majority of the times it will go for a cross join or something. So if performance is your main criteria, then try to shift the calculations to your database. All the complicated calculations that you have, try to shift them to your database. But this is only, this I suggest, generally I suggest only when you have huge amount of data that is coming from your database, which is actually taking, along with getting the data, Tableau has to do these calculations and all, then it might take more time. So in that angle, yes, you have to shift the calculation to your database. Third, and one more thing is, if you can replace your filters with action filters, rather than having categories, right? Rather than having all the categories in your filter, if you can maintain a sheet which will have all the categories, right? In those categories, if someone clicks based on that, the filtering will apply. Then it will be much better. The reason being, the date, it is not going querying the data again. It is only querying the data that is present in that sheet. So the database querying is not happening. And finally, use your context filters better. Use hardly one or two, right? Use your context filters, and based on those context filters, you should use it in such a way that the field with higher granularity, just like in category, something like category, rather than something like order date or product date. Because if you use this one as your context filter, a very good amount of data is being filtered. But if I take product name, the number of product names, the number of product names it has to go through to get the data is more. Right? So rather than using a lower granular dimension like product name as context, use something like category which is at a higher granular. So try this, and if there are many other issues. If a field is containing only two values, right? Always. Then rather than bringing them as a string, bring them as ones and zeros. And in the dashboard level, alias them with the view that you want to see. And wherever there is no requirement for relevant values, use parameters, because parameter values are always constant. So Tableau will not take much time to load those values. So these are certain things that you need to follow. Over that, if there is any performance issue, then again it is very specific to the dashboard. You have to see, you have to go very deep into the dashboard. Only then you can understand that. Okay. Well, okay. Last note, guys. If anyone has any. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Mhm. Okay. Tiled is because all your containers, right, which are not floating, they should rest on something. Right? They should rest on something. So the first container that you drag is always tiled. So when you drag a container, so here you are seeing there is no container, but here the container itself is tiled. It is saying the base for whatever dashboard that you are building, for that the base is tiled, which I am having it. That is what that is. Now here I am bringing my container. I'm bringing my horizontal, right? This container is horizontal, but this is placed on a tile. Now in this again I am bringing any vertical, then this is a vertical container which is in horizontal, and in turn that horizontal is in tile. So when we are talking about tiled, that is the base table for everything. So yeah, parent, you can call it as parent, you can call it as base, on which all the other containers are based. No, tile is always there. I'm not sure if I never seen any place where I don't see tile. Okay, let me remove this and see. Delete it. No, now by default here there is something called as tile. You drag anything. Let me drag text. Even for this, tile is always there. Without tile, you cannot, because the container starts with tile. You can even in the layout, if you go here, you can see this. Yes, I think you can. You can. This tile only. This one is tile. Let me show this to you. This is my container. This is not having any padding. The moment I take tile, I'm having tile. Tile is also by itself a container. Nothing much difference there. That is what I'm saying. When you bring a container into the dashboard, there should be a container to hold whatever you are bringing. Right? That by default Tableau will give you it as state. Because if there is no container in here, you will not even see that tile. You cannot even select that tile. But if you bring any container or any object, not only container, any object from here, then you can see that this is tile. This is horizontal container, which is in tile. Okay. You can again see when you are adding a worksheet, if the worksheet is individually in a container, you can add anyways. You can add a border to a sheet, a border to the container as well. Now, when does it make sense to add a border to a container rather than a sheet? If you are placing, your requirement is that every sheet should be placed within a container and there should be a gap between those two containers. Yes, then you need to put a border. And if you are dragging two sheets within a container, right? If you are dragging two sheets within a container, and even then you need border, then you can give border to a sheet. There is nothing mandatory or written that you cannot give border to this one and you can give border to this one. So how? Hmm. Yeah, right. No, that is what I'm saying. You can use it in any which ways. Just like here, let me drag a horizontal thing. Here I'm bringing my sheet 12. So I'm bringing my sheet 30. Now here I'm taking this as distribute contents even. Now here you want to show a gap in between. Yeah, this. Now when you want to show a gap, then along with bottom you can even give an outer padding. Here I have my outer padding, right? So this sheet is having a outer padding of 4 and this sheet is also having an outer padding of 4. Then what I will do is I will add a border bit. This one. Hmm. Now if you see there is a gap, right? This gap is because this sheet is having an outer border, outer padding of 4 and this sheet is also having an outer padding of 4. You can see that in here, right? I didn't get it. You want? You can do that. When you want to make something bold, then take a fat line. Take a fat line. Now it is clear. Okay. Okay, everyone. Also, there will be a new batch of scenario-based Tableau training that will be starting on 25th, this Sunday. So you can use the same link. First 1 week of sessions are free, and you can use the same link that you have used to join in here. Right? You can use the same link from Sunday. First 1 week will be free to access. You can attend them, and then if you like the training, then you can come. Okay. Okay, guys, and as usual, we will not be having any doubt sessions on Saturday and Sunday. Again, we will be meeting on Monday, same time 9:30. Okay, thank you, everyone.